Welcome to the Conquer Risk podcast. I'm Christopher Norton, joined today by Jeff Goodnow. Every quarter, we like to step back and evaluate what content has received the most engagement. To an extent, we do this to grade ourselves and see what people are interested in. But deeper than that, we like to see what advisors are gravitating to, what topics are top of mind for them, and where they're looking to find more. So that's what we're going to do today, is take a look at what the top content was of the third quarter of the year. Jeff, any thoughts as we get started?
Well, I guess the first thought is, unlike last time, I was surprised at the fact that one of my blogs was at the top of the hill. This time, no surprises, my friend. Not mine. Now, I don't remember actually writing one this quarter, so maybe that had something to do with it. But
you did it. That may have
I think that was by design by you and Manish. Jeff, you don't write. So, anyway.
You took the top spot, so we're going to take
there
it.
You go. There you go.
We're going to take out the
list.
list.
No, I mean, that's right. A lot of this is, right? It helps us direct and know where more advisors want to learn more, and where we might want to do additional content.
Right.
And it's pretty cool because now we have thousands of listeners and viewers and so forth, which is pretty cool.
It is.
So as advisors, this is where we get started, right? As advisors have found something, whether the old adage, build it and they will come. Mm-hmm. Well, number 2 on our list this quarter was Your Business Matters, and really that was the first kickoff of season 3, and it was a little bit of a surprise in that it was one along a list of top series that we had done, right, in sort of the building of the platform and that sort of thing.
Right.
But
it was the culmination of that series. Yeah.
Right, and so that was the kickoff for season 3, and it has hit the nail on the head. A lot of advisors have looked and watched and listened and certainly contacted us, which is great. But it was really about the concept of what the heck it is. Why did we get started in Union? And really the important part here, Your Business Matters. We realize good advisors have been getting kicked to the curb, and it's frustrating for us to see people that we know and are working hard out there and have good businesses, and they're treated like trash in some cases. So there you go.
There's this thing that's echoing across the industry from my perspective, that started as a mumble that I think is slowly growing into a roar, and that is this dissatisfaction that advisors have with feeling like they're not taken seriously unless they're a certain size, or unless they prescribe to an expected growth level or something like that, where it's not okay to just be treated like a number or a ticket anymore. And better exists, and people are seeking it out. And I am excited to see where this goes, because I think the industry is poised for its next real interesting evolution in the independent side, where it stops being about scale or die, and it starts becoming about the type of business that advisors want to run and the relationships that they have with their clients, which is usually why they got into the business to begin with.
Yeah, I heard an advisor say this once, and I thought it was interesting. She said, look, the issue is, well, you have to be huge in order to succeed. You have to keep getting bigger in order to succeed. And, there's an issue in that what happens, it's really a cycle, right? These large TAMPs keep getting bigger to the billions, to the trillions even. And what ends up happening is individual advisors leave larger firms and start their own business. RIA.
Right.
We're doing kind of the same thing, and look, we have our strategies on a lot of these major TAMPs, and they work great for a lot of folks, but at the same time, well, let's peel off, because we're seeing, we're hearing, we're getting those notifications and those comments that it's not okay anymore, and so we're starting small, and this is what the takeaway is. Basically, service isn't scalable. How's that for a statement?
Well, I think along those same lines, the number 3 for us was the TAMP versus model marketplace. And I think that's an extension of that discussion where advisors are looking at what is better and what are my options. And this conversation about, the services and what's provided through a TAMP versus what you can get through a model marketplace, I think is top of mind for a lot of advisors, and really digging into what that actually looks like. And you and Manish had a fantastic conversation where you really broke down the positives and the negatives to both, and maybe showed your personal bias in there a little bit. But I think it was just a great conversation that really highlights what you get and what you don't.
Well, and the reality is, I know I admitted my own failing in that podcast, in that when the term model marketplace first came out, I thought it was just one in this, right? It's just another name. And that's a bad thing that we have in our industry. We tend to use like either 47 different words to describe the same thing, or one word to describe 47 things. And it's easy, if you don't pay attention, to not realize that there are two clear and distinguished items involved. So I was glad to see that one worked, because that was a really simple topic for us to cover. We know it inside and out pretty well, and it's just one of those things. Sometimes it's good to take a pause, slow down, pick something that's kind of simple but easily overlooked by a lot of folks. And I think that's part of the reason they gravitated to it. It was providing some very simple, clear clarity to a subject.
Well, and if that episode built upon what was talked about in Your Business Matters, the podcast that you and I did just a couple of weeks ago on OCIO, which really isn't included in this because it came out right at the end, builds upon the TAMP versus model marketplace conversation, just continuing down that line
Right.
of what types of services are out there, and really, with all of these options, what is the best solution for advisors when they're looking at something beyond just being a name and a number and fending for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. The reality is, right, there's no perfect fit. The shoe for one won't fit the foot of another. So
Right.
you have to understand what's different, what's the same, and what your needs are. And sometimes that takes a little coaxing by a conversation with somebody else. Look, I'm the first one, and that's one of the things I've always loved about Manish. Before I even was part of Potomac, our conversations, he was always very clear about not everybody is a fit. And
Right.
in our industry, right, a
Right.
lot of folks will take any dollar that comes, and we just don't approach it that way. It's life's short. It's not worth the hassle. It's not a fit. It's not a fit. Move on. Give a good recommendation for another thing that might be a fit, and in the end, we'll get respect and maybe a referral to somebody else who is a fit. So
Precisely.
what else you got on TAMP versus model marketplace?
No, I think that that really sums it up. I'm excited to continue to have these conversations on the podcast and showcase for advisors different types of solutions that exist, whether it be on the business structure side, whether it be on the growing your business side, the marketing side, however we structure that. There's an opportunity for us to, in a unique way, given what we do at Potomac, show all of the different pieces and show advisors what's available.
All right, so as we move on, the blog posts, we hit a couple of the podcasts, obviously, that were good. Blog posts, the one that really jumped up, in front of us was why we started the Union UMA platform. Now, on one hand, right, there's a little bit of a catch-22 here. Clearly, some of these things are related to what we are doing with Union UMA. I mean, obviously, the title is pretty obvious. But that's not the sole focus of what we're trying to do with the podcast.
Precisely.
Right? In some cases, yes, we're going to tell you a little bit about what's going on and how we are differing and why we're doing things, and therefore you're going to touch on that. So that was a great little short blog post, really easy to read. And again, kind of hits right to the heart of exactly that, why we started Union UMA. But yeah, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I won't spend too much on this, but just as the marketing person who is in the back end of things and seeing a lot of these numbers in real time, I have been encouraged to see just the overwhelming response that we have had to people interested in learning about what union is and what we're doing and how it's different. And I think that's the thread that ties everything we've talked about here together, which is people are ready for a different type of solution for their business. And if that's union, awesome, great, we're here, we'd love to talk to you. But if it's something else, that things exist, and you don't have to just settle with scale or die, take a number, and go anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to make this statement because I love the fact that virtually every week we have more and more listeners and viewers and so forth. That's a pretty cool concept, and it's we appreciate it. We do this because we love it and we're passionate about it. But we said at the beginning, part of what we're doing here when we look at the numbers is to understand where maybe we need to do more content because something is pretty popular.
Right.
So if you decide that you don't like the avenue that we're going down and you want to hear or listen or watch something else, reach out to us and let us know. Don't just stop watching. Don't just stop listening. No, we do want to know what flavors of ice cream people want to try, and if there's a subject that we think we could maybe add some insight to, we're always open to that content conversation suggestion, whether that be email, use our Connect page, that sort of thing. Give us a call. We'll be glad to see what we can do there.
Well, and to that point, great timing. We actually just this week relaunched the podcast page on our website, where we put a lot of that information right at the top. So if you do have something that you want to hear about or you would like to hear us go further in depth on, potomacfund.com/podcast, send us a note. Let us know what's on your mind. And that's the perfect segue into what was our number one podcast for the quarter, which was, is social media a waste of time? One of the things that I have been doing as part of the podcast process here is talking more about marketing and trying to be a different voice than a lot of what you hear in the industry. We're not here to sell you marketing at Potomac. There's no call to action at the end for us to build your website or help you with social media. This is not what we're here for. But
let's be clear. I've had several of these calls or emails over the last 6 months. They've been like, can you help me with a website? Or I'm trying to do XYZ. We are not a marketing company. We are an RIA that has Union UMA, right, for multi-strategist TAMP, and we have our own strategies out there for people to use. That's what we've been doing for 32 years. So we're not marketing anything other than ourselves and helping to market to the industry. We're not marketers per se. That our services are out there. So yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, it's like, well, are we, is it that you go, are we doing a great job? Or are we doing a poor job because they think that we're a marketing company? But anyway, I digress.
Well, always happy to make those connections if you are looking for somebody to help with specific marketing services. We do know a lot of great resources, both inside the industry and out, but that is not what we are here for. But this whole idea about bringing more marketing ideas to the podcast was born from two conversations. One that I had with Manish on how it feels like we're at sort of this place right now where you have the same 5 or 6 people talking about the same marketing things all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're great people and they have great ideas. But you just sort of end up in this cycle where you're getting a lot of the same kind of things. And given my history with agencies in the past, we thought we could do something different. And this podcast that was our most engaged of the quarter was an excellent example of what that can be. I got together a group of people. It wasn't a panel. I had 5 guests. We did back to back in under 30 minutes. And we just attacked the idea of social media, not from a ticks and trips, how can you quickly gain more followers or, follow the latest trend or whatever, but to really step back and say, is this a good use of advisors' time? Has too much emphasis been put on it? If so, what do you do? If not, how do you do it the right way? And it was just a fantastic series of conversations where we broke down where it is valuable, where it's not, how to think about it the right way and approach it the right way. We spoke with a few marketing people. We spoke with an advisor. I brought in Chef Lauren, who's not even in the industry, and just looked at it from a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah, my favorite was Chef Lauren, other than the fact that she wants me to eat a lot of vegetables.
Yeah,
Minus that,
I'm
she
with you on
was
that one.
great. I tell you what, I'm not going to give away the inside here, but I definitely think advisors should watch this because there are a couple of epiphanies. Even I took away. I wasn't part of the podcast, but there were a couple of things that were said by our panelists that I just went, wow. I mean, I never looked at it that way. And it's changed the way. I'm by no means a great social marketer, but it has changed the way that I think about what I'm posting when I post.
Right.
So, yeah, anyway, I'll leave it at that. But I thought that was pretty cool. And the way you did the slice and dice.
I will echo that statement because even for me, when I play the role as host, I am learning so much from these guests. And it's just really exciting to hear these perspectives and challenge my own thinking and preconceived ideas when we go into these. And there's a lot more to follow. There's some exciting guests that we have lined up for Q4 that are going to be real fun and extremely educational.
Well, before we finish on that, I'm gonna give you some grief, and then I'm gonna cut you some slack.
All right,
because
let's hear
on
it.
one hand, I'm giving you credit. That was a cool way to ask the same question to multiple people from multiple different backgrounds. Is social media a waste of time? On the other hand, I want to do a podcast where I'm the host and I ask 5 people the exact same question. Like, this is my kind of prep for a podcast, baby. Okay, let me think. Okay, I've got one. I'm ready. So anyway, I just thought it was funny. No, it was good, but I got to give you a little bit of grief there. So anything else as you wrap up that social media?
No,
podcast?
that's good insight, and I will make no reference to the hosting ability that it takes to carry a 30-minute podcast with 5 guests and ask detailed follow-up questions that kick off good discussion. That doesn't need to be said.
So you're like Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School. It's one question with 27 sub questions, right? Yeah. Okay. So on that note, you got to throw up a skit or a link to that section of the movie.
We'll include that in the show notes. Yeah.
All right. So before we go to our recommendations, I just want to thank all of our listeners, watchers, followers. There's a lot of we have these available in a lot of different formats. The Apple Podcast, etc., right? All those kinds of things. So thank you very much. We appreciate the feedback. Anything you want to do, just shoot us a message. We'll be glad to take that into consideration. And we hope to continue to bring advisors great content. On that note, what's your recommendation?
So I'm going to get real personal with this one. There is... it seems like there's always a lot going on in California, but the recent wildfires have really hit wine country hard, and some good friends of mine run a winery called Hawks north of Napa. They're somewhat secluded from the latest round of fires, but it's a small vineyard, and one of the things, if you're into wine at all, that I don't think a lot of people realize is that the best wine from California, you're never going to find in a store. Most of the wine that you see distributed from California is just the large producers. A lot of the really interesting, really unique, I think special wine is grown in pretty small lots, and they just don't have the volume to be able to distribute nationally on a consistent basis. And that's what I always tell people when they come here is, find somebody that knows some really unique local places. So the vineyard's called Hawks. I'll include a link to it in the show note. They have the best Cabernet and Merlot I've ever had from anywhere in the world. They are awesome people. It's family run. They have a great little tasting room in Healdsburg and a little salon in Sonoma. Good people, fantastic wine. Look them up, order something. They're the best.
Can they ship?
Yep, anywhere in the country. Anywhere in the country they can ship.
Well, we might have a winner, my friend. All right. I'll make mine quick. This is a show that there's really sort of two pieces. Okay, this is pretty cool in that I think it was maybe 8-9 years ago. They came out on Cinemax with a show, homegrown show called Strike Back. It is very much an action military show. Pretty cool stuff. I always loved it. I mean, every episode was just, I mean, it was going from beginning to end, and absolutely loved it. It ran like 5 years, I think, and then it was done, right? And it was like depression. I mean, this was my wife's upstairs. I'm in the man cave, and I am just digging this shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, do whatever kind of thing. Every once in a while, like every 6 months or a year, I'd like look just to see man, are they going to come out with something? I don't know why. I've never done that with any other show in my life. Go back and see years later.
Yeah.
And obviously, it had been a little bit since I had looked. It had gotten to the point where I, just sort of stopped, got busy, full-time RV, whatever, and on my way. And I finally looked like a couple months ago. Amazon Prime, you get access to Cinemax. And all of a sudden I looked, and I'm like, wait, there's like 2 or 3 seasons. Holy smokes! So I binged for like
Merry Christmas, Jeff.
It was great. I know, and I said it's 2 pieces because the new episodes, they do have a little cameo, right, kind of at the beginning, but then not pretty close to the beginning, but then it's a whole new crew of people.
Oh wow!
And so it has a life of its own, even though it's the same name and same sort of concept. So yeah, but now it's over. Oh no!
And now you're back.
Anyway,
now you're back to waiting.
Back to waiting. I'm just waiting. All right. On that note, we appreciate everybody listening, watching, etc. Thank you very much. And on that note, have a good day.
Take care. Bye bye.